to pray. There's no angels where I go, only pieces that are broken, scattered dreams across the floor. I'm home.
Alrighty, hello everybody, this is Kirsho here. Now then, I'm going to try to make this episode really fast, but I do know where I do want to have a stopping point. So I will stop there and then I will go off to work, because I do have to leave very soon. Now, let us begin. When we last left off, this elite predator, she had just stated that she was going to take Deku and in fact bring him back to Yarja Prime, where she can basically have him as her husband, essentially. There's no getting around that. Because he is worthy of being an elite, he has shown great combat prowess, and he's even beaten a clan leader in a fist fight. A 500, if not a ancient predator, who those are very hard to kill. The fact being that this man, well, the elite predator the clan leader was older than Deku's bloodline. In fact, older than quirks themselves. Now, she sees Deku as a worthy person. So let us cut back to Momo. Momo is still arguing with his predator, saying that that's not going to happen, as Deku would finally speak up. He would just interrupt them, asking if he gets any say in this, which this is whenever the elite would just say that whenever he did kill her father, she basically had to take over, if not had a battle for dominance, which she won. Deku would have heard the fact that he killed her father, and he would just ask what she means, as this is that bad blood's daughter. She would go on explaining that after the fight, there was a power struggle. Some predators died, some didn't. The ones who are still left are under her command. Now, she would also go on stating that after what happened, she believes that Deku should have been the rightful leader. Because the fact being, he just, won. Quite simply, but he just left. That was the problem. So she's trying to fill that gap. Even then, it does help that she is impressed by him. Now, Momo, she would just cut the predator off, saying that that's not going to happen. Even then, he's human. We're all human. How is this going to work for you? She would just go on stating that there is a way to transform humans into predators. And in fact, if she does win this challenge, she will use the machinery on Deku, which Deku's not too keen about. Which is whenever the predator would just initiate a law of combat. I don't remember exactly what the law is called, but I do remember from researching it that predators can call on a law of combat. No judge, no jury, just executioners. Where you can basically challenge someone to a hunt, or you can challenge them to a fight. So, Momo hearing this, she would understand what this law means, as All Might would finally interrupt them. He's been listening to what they've been saying as he would open the door. The Yaoja female, she just stares up at All Might as she's immediately flabbergasted, or caught off guard by surprise. She immediately looks up at All Might as she recognizes him from somewhere. She would just immediately start, talking with him as she just trying to get All Might's name, which All Might doesn't give her. She would just be saying that this man seems like he was a hunter before, which All Might does not clarify. As he would just tell Momo that if she's going to fight this young girl, then at least do not do it on UA property. As he would begrudgingly walk away. As Momo would do so, he would immediately walk around the corner, debuffing, and immediately just walk into the teacher's lounge, as he's having a bit of trouble with this. The Yaoja aren't supposed to be on Earth anymore, so why are they even here? Well, that girl is after Deku, or young Midoriya, so that does make sense then. Even then, how are people ever going to react when they hear that aliens kidnap children? Now, All Might knows about the Yaoja, as he's been challenged by a predator before. In fact, he's actually fought one, and won. But he did keep it on the down low. However, when the Yaoja did start kidnapping children, that was whenever it was harder for him to catch them. Now, this is whenever the predator should we just announce that they're going to the ships then? As Deku, he would just watch as the predator would just grab him by the arm and they would begin, well, they'd be off. They would both walk outside, get in her ship, and immediately blast off, as Deku's just watching this. He would just immediately bring his mask on as he does ask Momo what's going on. The predator would just say that they are going to go to a planet and fight. In fact, they are going to be going to a reserve. Deku would just ask if it's the reserve close by, and the predator would say no. They are going to one that is ceremonious. In fact, it is considered to be a Yaoja outpost. Basically, just like how there is Yaoja Prime, there are other outposts, if not planets, the Yaoja can inhabit. As Deku would just get in his ship and set course for this outpost, after getting the coordinates. Everyone will be watching as Deku actually does blast off in one of the smaller pods, immediately heading that way. Everyone's confused at what they should do. This is whenever Baku would just say that they're going to be going after them, of course, as they would get into the ship and blast off. Well, they would go to the ship and then finally blast off. Now, let us arrive, if not cut to, a couple hours later on the planet. Deku, he has arrived at the Yaoja place. His ship, even though it is smaller, it is not as fast as the one the Yaoja had. And his ship is so big that it'll take a while for it to get there. Now, this is whenever Deku would be watching as the battle is commencing. Momo has all her hunter gear, and so does the Yaoja. As it is announced that these two are going to be fighting for the right of a hunter. If not for... you don't know what I mean. Now, as soon as the fight begins, this is whenever the Yaoja, she would immediately bring out her wrist blades as she charges at Momo. Momo would just immediately create a shield as she does that, the blades making contact slashing against them. She immediately begins to try throwing as much power as she can at them, as she does fire a plasma caster. Momo just immediately just backhands the blast away with the shield as it starts heading in the opposite direction, smashing into the Colosseum. Other Yaoja are cheering about this, as Momo starts using One for All. Charging up her power, she actually does begin fighting against her. Now, with that being said, Momo, she immediately just starts blasting away at her with the wrist gauntlet that May gave her. In fact, she was confused to see it, but realized that they did mix up their gear. So this is at least helpful. Now, while fighting, this is when Deku, he would just walk in the stadium, as a lot of people would see him a bit confused. Until they do see that he's wearing a bodysuit, something only the humans that the Yaoja know of wear. So they would just somewhat be staring at Deku, as he was watching. Momo, she immediately starts blasting as much force as she can with the plasma caster at the Yaoja, as she does the same. These two are either connecting blast, missing, and dodging the other ones. As Momo actually does run up close to her, creating a pair of brass knuckles, smashing her across the face, breaking two of her mandibles. The Yaoja getting mad, she actually does come back around and smash her in the smash Momo in the face using about as much force as she can. In fact, she actually did stab through her cheek with one of the blades, but it didn't pierce through her head. Just she basically cut into her mouth. Now, this is whenever Momo, she would have actually done one thing. She would have brought her knee up, trying to create a blade in it, doing so trying to stab the Yaoja in the gut. But she would have immediately backed away as the blade is in Momo's suit. She would have just immediately picked it up as she would just throw it toward the Yaoja. As she does one thing. She just immediately starts creating things in her hands, if not in her palms, and starts throwing them at the Yaoja. The Predator is dodging all these as she's confused as to what she's even doing. Momo creating a detonator in her other hand, and immediately clicking down on the button, as the stadium begins to explode. Momo was putting those knives, if not making them hollow, with plastic explosive inside. As the force would send the Yaoja straight at Momo, Momo would charge in, smashing her in the gut as she would just punch her in the ribs. Now, with that being said, Deku would be watching this as he's actually a bit more concerned. As Momo, she actually does get hit by the Predator, if not stabbed in her side, by a small knife she pulled. Momo would have immediately just pulled the knife out and tried swinging at the Yaoja, as she is dodging and actually just maneuvering around Momo, gaining the edge in the fight. Deku is watching this as a lot of people would just be confused. That human, she was winning, but what just happened? Now, Momo, she's exhausted, as this fight, she didn't really prepare for it. Yes, she had weaponry and everything, but even then, this is going to be a close call. Momo, she begins by just powering up to about 70% of one for all as she does charge in. She tries throwing around as much force as she can, but the Predator is just dodging this, as Momo is now just swinging wildly. All the other Yaojas are being blasted out of their seat as Deku has not moved an inch, just staring at the confrontation in front of him. This is whenever Momo, whenever she does throw a punch, she just immediately begins to start screaming, as whenever she does throw another one, a giant black whip comes out of her wrist and immediately just starts stabbing into the Yaoja. Now, as that happens, Momo, she closes her hand as it impales her in every single direction, coming out of her skin, out of her ribs, and out of her body. As Momo just immediately begins swinging it around, smashing the Yaoja into the walls, and immediately just running forward, smashing her into, the ground. As she actually just holds her hands up above her, ready to finish her off, realizing that she is already dead. In fact, she sees all the holes in her body and, all the blood, as she's just staring down at this. She just immediately drops to her knees as she actually is holding her side, as her mask is cracked. In fact, the integrity of it is very low, and she only has 10 minutes of oxygen. Now, this is because one of her respirators actually got damaged, meaning that it has stopped cycling through. So Deku, he just immediately jumps he jumps down as he immediately walks over to Momo. Momo is confused to see Deku as he would just walk over to her and immediately just grab her, picking her up off the ground, telling her that her fight is over. Now, this is whenever the Yaoja that are in the stadium, they're just staring at Deku. He's that human, right? So that means he's up to battle next, correct? Now, Deku, he's not sure what they mean, but he would just explain that that's not what they're here for. As the Yaoja wouldn't believe Deku. Deku having to clarify that he was only here to get her, if not be that one's husband. That's what the whole fight was about, but he already chose her. As he begins to walk away, a lot of the predators are just staring at Deku as he does one simple thing. Whenever one gets in front of him, Deku just immediately brings his hand up, taking off his mask, staring at the predator as he begins to adapt to the planet. Not even flinching, they watch as he would grow in size, and he actually does look more like them. Actually having a pair of mandibles form on his face, as he just takes deep breaths, actually looking down at this predator, telling him to move. This confuses them as Deku would just immediately just put the mask back on his head and put on the air seal. As that happens, he's walking away with Momo as he does get smaller and smaller. The predators are actually somewhat frightened because he just turned into a Yaoja. In fact, that should be possible for a human. Now, with that being said, Deku, he would meet up, him and Momo would take the predator's ship and leave the planet, as this one's a bit more suited for actual, solo missions. So they'd start flying through space. As Deku would take off his mask, and Momo can actually clearly see how bad he injured himself just by doing that little stunt. But Deku would just tell her that she needs to worry about herself. As they would finally meet up with Bakugo and everyone else. They'd be a bit confused, asking exactly what happened. Deku having to explain that Momo, she won. But something happened to her. As Momo would hold up her hand, revealing Black Whip, which is completely weird to everyone. Now, with that being said, Momo is trying to stay calm as she does notice this actually spaz out, if not freak out, whenever she does, overreact. Now then, with that being said, this is whenever Deku, he would find a good way to link the two ships together so that they can board. Doing so and taking something from the ship. Taking its data, if not the, hard drive from it, so that they can analyze it better. With that, they are going to be heading over to one planet to train, if not to specialize in. As this little incident, it only happened because Deku, he is not considered to be a very high-ranking member of the Yaoja clan, if not a predator. So he'd just do one thing. He thinks that if they can't be a part of if they can't be a part of a clan or people don't respect him, it's time to do one thing. It's time to make a clan. It is time to become a clan. It is time for Deku to go on a hive extinction mission, where he has to take out an entire hive and kill a queen. Then he will finally be given the respect he deserves. Now, that is where I'm going to be leaving things off, guys. I do hope you enjoyed the video, and have an amazing day. I will catch you guys later.